My name is Paul Steinhauser. I'm a national political reporter for Fox News. I cover campaigns and elections. I was a longtime CNN political editor, doing the same thing for them for years. Then moved to New Hampshire in 2014 to join a startup, NH1 News, as their political correspondent, anchor, and political director. I did that for a couple of years, the 14 and the 16 cycles, until that startup was no longer, and moved on. That's what I do. I cover campaigns and elections for my career.
What we wanted to ask you about was this idea of the way that political money has exploded.
Yeah, the Citizens United Supreme Court decision just upended everything. It totally changed campaign politics. And it's probably one of the things that fed the rise of shops like yours, because there's a need for it now. I mean, there weren't many people who covered campaign finance before Citizens United. But yeah, it just opened the floodgates to big businesses and big labor to be able to spend as much money as they want on campaigns. And of course, a lot of that money, while a good portion of it goes to grassroots outreach and organizing and getting out the vote efforts, the other half obviously goes to ads. And then the other side of that is digital. And digital's changed everything as well, not only in how they raise money, and that has been dramatic, because the days of the big fat cat donors dominating fundraising is long gone. And that was witnessed especially by Trump and his grassroots reach in the 2016 cycle. So grassroots donations now is just as important, if not more important, than the big bucks donations. Why? Because those donors can keep donating, because these are usually small dollar donations. And you see now how campaigns tout their numbers. When they tout their numbers, they tout their overall, what they raised and what they have cash on hand. They've always done that. But just as important nowadays, how many donors, how many are small dollar donations, $100 or less, sometimes even $25 or less, and the average size of those donations. So the emphasis on grassroots donations and fundraising has been huge. And yes, digital advertising has it's surpassed radio, and eventually is going to surpass TV and broadcast and cable TV. We're not there yet. At every cycle, we say digital's become more important, and it has. And sooner or later, and I don't know if that's going to be in the next cycle or the cycle after, digital is going to be number one and TV is going to be number two. But we're heading in that direction. And why? Because digital allows you to gives you pinpoint accuracy that broadcast and cable just don't have. And it's a no-brainer for campaigns. If you're going to spend your money, you want your ads and your message to get to the people you're trying to attract and court and persuade. So I think that's a long answer to what you wanted. So apologies.
No, that was great. Thank you. And how do you see the role of digital in the nationalization of elections that we've seen happening really up and down the ballot, right, and across the country? And particularly, I'm curious, with your experience living in New Hampshire and reporting on both national politics and New Hampshire politics, the ways that Facebook and Google and Twitter play into these larger conversations and launching local candidates into the national spotlight.
The biggest issues in these midterm elections, especially for down ballot races, maybe not for Senate or governor, but for congressional races and below, it's going to be national themes. It's going to be whether Joe Biden is doing or not doing a good job in office. But again, digital and social media has just accentuated that movement that we've seen for years.
So in terms of messaging, what do you foresee? Obviously, Biden will be a target, but some of the broader culture war conversations, if you will, that are going on across the country, what are you seeing as some of the main messaging battles playing out in the lead up to the midterms?
Well, first of all, obviously, every midterm election is a referendum on the incumbent president. That's no different this time. So it's going to be a referendum on Joe Biden and the job he's doing. His approval rating will be crucial. Right now, it's still above water. It's still pretty healthy. Got a year and a half to go, though. We'll see. Issues, obviously, the economy is always a huge issue. And the Democrats are pretty pumped right now because, A, they think that the COVID relief package and all that money that went out to Americans is going to be a plus for them in the 2022 midterms. And the economy seems to be full force ahead. So they're very confident about that. The flip side is inflation. And that's an issue that we haven't dealt with in a long time. Inflation has not been a top story, but prices have been rising big time. Naturally, they would. We're coming out of the worst recession in 80 years. So this is natural. And it's probably actually a healthy economic indicator that the prices are going up, because that means the economy is steaming. But the flip side of that is prices are going up and Americans have to pay more. And as you've seen, Republicans are spotlighting that. I've been writing about Republican ads going after vulnerable Democrats in 2022 over inflation. That's only going to continue between now and next year. So those are two issues. Another hotbed issue that Republicans are definitely spotlighting is immigration and the so-called surge at the southern border. Republicans are only going to continue to do that. We'll see what happens with Afghanistan. But if the Taliban really gets going on the move and the government in Afghanistan collapses or is severely wounded, Republicans are going to go after that and blame Joe Biden. The ironic thing is Donald Trump, if he was still president, we would have been out of Afghanistan even earlier than we are now, because Trump wanted them out as early as May of this year. But that's not something Republicans will talk about, but they'll slam Biden over Afghanistan. The culture wars, the social issues is something, even before that, I left out crime, another huge issue. And that tied together with the protests last year. Republicans are going to blame Joe Biden for the rise in crime. And Democrats will push back and blame Republicans for not doing anything to try to stem the surge in gun violence. So I think that's an issue that both sides may want to invest in when it comes to ads next year, and are already starting to this year. But both sides have actually a compelling argument there. So we'll see which side wins the messaging war in that one. Social issues, huge for Republicans. The culture wars are something they've really glammed onto since Donald Trump came along, and they're going to continue to do that. Critical race theory, even though most Americans have no idea what it is, Republicans know they hate it, even though they don't know what, some are not exactly sure what it is. Republicans think that this is going to be a winning issue to them. Democrats right now think that this is only an issue that resonates with people that don't even vote for Democrats, right? That this is just an issue on the right. We'll see, because it's starting to percolate in some suburban areas, and the suburbs are such a crucial factor when it comes to the vote. The suburbs are the reason that Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016, and the suburbs are the reason why he lost it in 2020. There's plenty of other social issues we could talk all day, but one that really stands out is transgender rights. And you've seen Republicans really laser approached on this one when it comes to transgender athletes. So another thing to look at 2022.
I'd like you just briefly, maybe as we wrap up, to talk a little bit about Senate races. Obviously, it's a hugely competitive year for the Senate.
We start with a dead even Senate. There's 34 seats up for grabs. Republicans, though, are playing defense. People forget this. The Republicans are defending 20 of the 34 seats, and of those 20, 5 are retiring senators. So there's 5 open Republican seats they're going to have to defend. And guess what? 2 of them are in 2 of the most crucial battleground states and 2 of the most expensive states, Pennsylvania and North Carolina. The race in Ohio could also be competitive. Missouri, maybe not as much. In Alabama, not at all. But you've got 5 very, you got 5 open seats, and that makes the Republican job tough because they will play plenty of defense. The flip side to that is they see 4 states where they can flip a blue seat red. They're very confident that they can do that in Arizona, where Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, was just elected to a 2-year term to finish the term of the late Senator John McCain. So he's up in 2022. And in Georgia, Raphael Warnock, who was just elected on January 5th in that special runoff election in Georgia, that was a 2-year term as well. So they look at both those guys in Arizona and Georgia, those Democrats, as very vulnerable. And then the other 2 are in Nevada. Cortez Masto, the Democrat out there, and in my home state of New Hampshire, they look at Senator Maggie Hassan as very vulnerable, especially if they can get our popular Republican governor, Chris Sununu, to challenge her. One more thing, look at the campaign cash numbers we're seeing just in the last couple of days we've been reporting. And you're seeing some eye-popping numbers from these Senate candidates and Senate incumbents. So that just shows you, A, how expensive these races are going to be, and B, they're going to have the money to go up with a lot of ads. And these are just the campaigns. We're not even talking about the outside groups.
Right. Yeah, if you're right, there's going to be a whole ton of money spent on this.
If you track the digital fundraising dollars, Val Demings, John Fetterman, they've spent millions on Facebook already, and they launched their campaigns less than 2 months ago, both of them. We're just
I got a piece going up tomorrow morning on Fox News on the website that looks at Fetterman, Demings, and Tim Ryan in Ohio. Get 3 Republican seats, 2 of them are open. These are the 3 Democrats who are most likely going to be the nominees. And they will be going up with a ton of Facebook ads, especially, and I specifically spotlighted the Facebook ads on them touting their support to scrap the filibuster. And that's an issue that really resonates with the left of the Democratic Party. And they were smart because they highlighted this on Facebook and they were able to raise a good amount of money off it.
I think that does it for the questions we had.